Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. Gaming channels. If you've never seen a gaming channel on YouTube, then you probably have never been on YouTube because they're pretty much the most popular, most highly viewed channels on all of YouTube. And so, with that being said, there's probably like a billion different gaming channels available, and that could be overwhelming. But out of all of those channels, there's going to be a channel that's going to be right for whoever's watching. Like for myself, I really enjoy retro gaming. And it's really not retro gaming for me, it's really games that I grew up with. And so you've seen some of my videos that I've done is primarily I play my games on my phone, and so I call myself the mobile gamer when I'm doing those episodes. But on this particular episode, I want to talk about my top 5 favorite gaming channels. And a lot of these channels, I like them because a lot of it is because of the person or people who are making the channels, and they have very similar likes that what I like when it comes to gaming. And so, with that being said, the very first channel I want to talk about, my number 5, is ProJared. Now, ProJared, he's been around for a while. If I remember correctly, let's go look and see how long he's been on there. He's been on here since 2006. That's a really long time. And so, what I like about ProJared is his sense of humor. I mean, whenever he's making these videos that he's talking about all these games that he enjoys, he adds a lot of humor to it, and his style of humor is more like deadpan and sarcastic, but his videos himself, he does a really good job of really going in depth of these games. One of which is this Stardew Valley game. I've never heard of it, but he goes really in depth to it, and that game, it's very similar to the classic game Harvest Moon. And I really enjoy it because he mixes a lot of his deadpan humor, and that makes a lot of sense whenever he's talking about his game. So I really enjoy ProJared. He does have multiple gaming channels. This is his main one. And recently, he hasn't been able to post as much because he's actually got a lot of stuff going on. But ProJared, really enjoy his channel mainly because of his sense of humor and his personality. I really enjoy that part of it. Although he doesn't have as many different game reviews as the other ones that I'm going to be talking about here, but his sense of humor is awesome. I really like that one. So that's my number 5. Moving on to my number 4 is GameSack. Now, GameSack, it's actually done by 2 guys. They were actually on the scene since 2011. So, all these 5 channels, they've been around a while. And so this one's probably like the youngest out of all of them, which is kind of funny. They've been on YouTube for 5 years. So it's Joe and Dave. And what I like about their format is GameSack, it's really focused on the history of the games or consoles or whatever that they're talking about. And so they go really in depth of whatever subjects that they're in is. You could see most of their videos, it's usually above 20 minutes. Usually it's around 30 to 40 minutes. So they really go in depth, and they really have a good chemistry with each other. But what I really like about their channel is that the history. They go into a lot of depth, a lot of details. So if there's really anything that you wanted to learn about gaming, you know, check them out. I mean, they're probably the best, when it comes to it, in my opinion, because they do a lot of research, and they're funny too, but in their own way, but not quite as humorous as ProJared. But it is a great place to go if you want a history lesson in gaming. So that is my number 4. Moving on to my number 3, Lord Carnage. Lord Carnage, 2009, I think, was when he was on here. 2007, yeah, he's been around a while. Now, Lord Carnage, he has a lot of videos. He basically has covered every quote unquote retro game that you could think of. And he is also very funny as well. Once again, very deadpan humor, but very sarcastic too. And he does this whole bit where he's like screaming. I don't know if it's screaming, but he has this really cool voice thing that he does. It can get annoying sometimes until you get used to it, but at the end, he gives shout out to all his viewers, and it's in this really big bellowing voice that he uses. And also, Lord Carnage is actually an artiste, and so he has this series of online comic books that he creates, which is really cool. But Lord Carnage, he has so many videos, and not only does he review them, but he does history on them, and a lot of them do a little bit of history. But if you wanted to see games from the 80s, 90s, all the way up till today, he doesn't do as many recent videos, but Lord Carnage, he's actually the one to watch. Just a ton of videos. Once again, a lot of deadpan humor, sarcastic humor, more or less. I really like his channel for that, but he has a lot of videos covering every single type of console that you can think of. So, a great one to check out. So, what's my number 2 channel? This might be surprising and not surprising to a lot of people, but my number 2 has to be Cinemassacre. Now, this was kind of tough because a lot of people love the Angry Video Game Nerd, which is who creates Cinemassacre, or AVGN as they like to call him. So it's going to be this guy James Rolfe and his best friend Mike Matei. And Cinemassacre is actually his company, his movie production studio, gaming studio, whatever you might call it. John Rolfe, he's a movie lover. He's actually has created his own movie as well, and so Cinemassacre is his company. And he actually started in 2006, so that's a long time ago. And I really don't have to go much into the Cinemassacre or the Angry Video Game Nerd. You know him; he's done everything, and a lot of his videos, a lot of how he got his popularity is because of the Angry Video Game Nerd. But if you go to Cinemassacre, he covers everything. Him and Mike Matei and a lot of his other friends, they do a lot of stuff in gaming. They do a lot of gameplays, they do top 10 lists. But for a lot of people, the Angry Video Game Nerd, Cinemassacre, that's what really got people into watching gaming channels, period, on YouTube. So, really, really love John Rolfe, Cinemassacre, Mike Matei. They are wonderful. Just tops. And it was really hard for me not to choose this as my number 1. But definitely, Angry Video Game Nerd, Cinemassacre, top. They're awesome. But what is my number 1 if the Angry Video Game Nerd wasn't? Well, my number 1 is the Happy Console Gamer. Yes, I love the Happy Console Gamer. Johnny Millennium, and I can't remember his other friend, but he has a lot of other friends, but one of his best friends is on there a lot, and he joined in 2008. And what is it that I really like about the Happy Console Gamer and Johnny Millennium? Well, it's because it's not really like the games and stuff that he covers, okay? Because you could find those games in other gaming channels. It's because of him, you know. He has a lot of very similar experiences that he talks about that I can relate with a lot. And so that's what he spends most of his channel on. He talks about his experiences and how these games have affected him. So, in a lot of ways, you know, this is more of a personal gaming channel, and you know, and each one of these gaming channels, they do have their own personal bits, their own personality. But for me myself, I connect a lot with Johnny Millennium, and I've really enjoyed every single one of his videos. And whenever he makes his videos, it makes me think about my own, you know, childhood, my own experiences with gaming, and so that alone, you know, just has basically makes a connection between you and the viewer. And so, and that's the same thing that, you know, everybody who has a YouTube channel wants to do, I think, for the most part. I mean, I myself included, you know, I want to talk about stuff that, you know, might resonate and connect with other people. And Johnny Millennium, Happy Console Gamer, definitely connected with me. I really enjoy his insights, his experiences, his game reviews, just everything. There's really not anything that I do not like about his channel or that I can even nitpick. And so that is my number 1, the Happy Console Gamer. So those are my top 5 favorite video game channels in 2016. I don't think this is going to change, but I'm going to probably do one every year because, there's always other channels coming out. There's always changes in the whole video gaming world. And so with that being said, I want to hear your thoughts. What are your top 5 or top 10? What are your favorite gaming channels, and why, Leave your, comments and ideas below. And as always, I just have this brand new crazy thing called Snapchat, and you've probably seen it on a few videos I've talked about. If you wanted to send me your top 5 or whatever list, send it to me on Snapchat. Send it to me at Geek Outdoors, and I will snap you back if it's something that I could answer or something that I can relate with. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com, and I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.